Hello and welcome to our second ever Microschool South Florida online info session. Today we have some really great guests. We have Iman, Cassells, Alleyne. Did I say that right?
You got it.
Your name
Yep.
in print.
You got it. It's good.
She's from Kind Academy in Coral Springs and Broward County. We have Toni Frallicciardi. How do you say that again, Toni?
Frallicciardi.
Frallicciardi. I see her name a million times and I've never once actually said it. So anyway, we've got Toni, which is much easier to say, and she's with Surfskate Science, and that is located in Broward and Miami-Dade County. And I'm in Palm Beach County, and we've still attended some of her events, so that's really fun. And we also have Caitlyn from Brain Pals, and she is located in the West Palm Beach area. I also have Melissa Landis with Lake Worth Waterkeeper. She's on today as well, as she's kind of helping out, guide questions, and she's a great facilitator. And anyway, that's kind of what we're doing tonight. We are also talking about non-traditional curriculum, and that's kind of what our conversation will revolve around a little bit after we have learned a little bit about our three non-traditional school options that are out there, whether it's a program that you can join for a few days or many days during the week, if you can just drop in for a program here or there, or if it's a tutor to help guide you through whatever it is you're doing. So non-traditional education is what we are all excited about. So to get us started, we are going to have Kind Academy give us a little rundown, maybe 5 to 7 minutes about what they offer. And then after we've all presented our different programs, we can have a few questions about what they offer, and then we'll do our guided questions about our curriculum. Anyway, we are ready to go, and I better enable sharing. Let me do that. All right, take it away, Iman.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you so much for having me on today, Miss Candy. This is excellent. I really like that you set this up, because I remember feeling as overwhelmed as like probably everyone here when they started getting into this whole thing. So having these, I think, are really important for getting to know what's around too. Okay, so my name is Iman. I run a program called Kind Academy. We've been doing this since about 2013. My background is I have a master's in school counseling. When I went into public schools, I started teaching a lot, realizing that a lot of students that were coming to me had special needs as well. So I got certified in special needs as well as elementary education. Very quickly realized that I needed something different for my kids. I have 3 boys and 1 girl now. And my 11-year-old at the time was probably like this. By the time he was 2, he was like, I can't do the school thing. So I pretty quickly realized that we wanted to homeschool, and then just got into using my background and my education in doing that. So that's kind of who we are. Today, we're going to talk a bit more about who we are and just as a program, why we do what we do, and how to get involved with what we do. Okay. So like I said, I have a background in special needs. So I would always write these things called IEPs when I was teaching in public school, and they're individual education plans. They were for students who had special or unique abilities. Gifted students would get them, students who were diagnosed with something. And I really was like, well, I think everyone should kind of have access to this if they're implemented in a good way. Like basically we were able to say if a child needed manipulatives to learn math, they would get manipulatives. It was a part of their plan. If they needed to have somebody give them a visual, they would have the visual. If they needed somebody to read out loud to them on a test, they could have somebody read out loud to them. So it was basically a way that we could teach the way kids learned. And I was like, this is excellent when it worked. And as long as it was being implemented with fidelity, it was amazing. And I felt like everyone should have that. So I quickly just started to create programming that really focused on that. So we started as a nature school in Sunrise, actually. I had somebody say in Sunrise. Our nature school is still out there, and we're actually going to finally be coming back into doing nature school out there in the fall. So I'm super excited about that. We grew with our learners and became a microschool. And then COVID pretty much, of course, threw everybody for a loop. So we started to do virtual schooling and just took all of our programming online. And it was a lot of fun and really taught us how to be effective online. Our goal is to open over 100 schools over the next 10 years. Right now, we're launching our first school in Coral Springs, right, pretty much in the heart on Wiles and Riverside. So right now we're opening that for, right now we're opening that for about 5 to 12-year-olds. So that's super exciting and super tough, but also a big part of what's going to be like the future of education for us. So that's how we started. What makes us unique? I would say the 3 top things that makes us unique are passion projects. We really believe in children doing things that they're passionate about or that they're excited about, or things that are just exciting in general. Like, we find a way to make it exciting. So in all of our programs, there's a lot of art. There's a lot of science experiments, lots of building with the kid with their hands, lots of coding. Basically anything that kids are like, I'm really interested in doing this. The kids learn how to YouTube in our programs. They really can pick something that they're passionate about, and then they can create projects based off of that. And we always have a time built into our school day for that to happen. The way that we do that and the way that we're different than what most schools can do is because we use a lot of adaptive learning. So every child that comes through us gets their own individualized plan or path. They take a diagnostic, it determines where they are, and then it just focuses on fixing those gaps and also pushing and accelerating them. So we're able to do a lot more of the core subjects in a much shorter time based off of the programs and the path that the student is trying to follow. And then we do a lot of experiential learning. So we do a lot of hands-on field experiences, having people come in. One of our favorite things we did this year, we did join up with Surf Skate Science, which was amazingly fun. And also we had capuchin baby monkeys come out to our co-op and visited us with a zoologist who really taught the kids like what it took to be a zoologist. We were like, can we just buy one of these monkeys? And she was like, it's like $4,000 and you need to do like 2 years of like interning before you can touch one of these monkeys. So it was just like, it really opened the kids' eyes to, this career that they probably had never even thought about. And all that background really helps with their experiential learning and exposes them to a lot of different things. So that's kind of what makes us unique. And I don't see any cards coming up here, and I don't know if I'm rambling. So okay, perfect. Okay, so how to get involved with us. We have Kind Coral Springs that's launching in the fall. That's going to be, all of our co-ops are going to be under Kind Coral Springs. All of our in-person, our nature school for under 5-year-olds is going to be reopening again in the fall. And all of our co-ops that we do, we did a lot of homeschool co-ops this year. We plan on continuing that as well. Our Kind Global School, so for students who are, for example, like FLVS Flex, a lot of times we heard things like those programs are just, the kids are sitting at their computer screen for 6 hours a day, and it's like, they're chained to this desk, and it's frustrating and it's overwhelming, especially for students who like to move and who like to do things. Our global school really allows students to get out and still do a lot, but also still partner and see their peers and their friends, and also still have a chance to do these hands-on projects that we encourage our students to do. And then finally, we have Kind Curriculum, which is a curriculum that I've been writing since we started nature school, pretty much. It's a nature-based sensory program. And it's just really good for the kids to, if you're a homeschooler or co-op and you're looking for ideas of activities to do, that would be the Kind Curriculum. So that's kind of it. Does anyone have any questions? Do we save questions for the end?
You would ask a few questions. Anyone, if you want to have questions, that'd be fine.
Comments?
I have a question. You mentioned nature school a lot, and I'm sorry if I'm very new to all of this. What is a nature school?
So we do all of our programming outside. So generally, like under 5-year-olds, they actually came with is a co-op. So they came with their parent, and then we would do sensory play together. I don't know if you've ever seen like a sensory bin. It's used a lot of times with students who have special needs, but I think it's really great for like all the kids love it. We would do nature activities like nature walks, really great things to build their fine motor and gross motor skills. Art for fine motor skills, a lot of play, lots of free play. So the kids really directed their own learning. And then we would even do like phonics and a lot of math and things like that in nature. So yeah, thank you. Great question, Daniela. Sure. I think that's it for me. Thank you, Miss Candy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Let's see. How do we get you to stop sharing screen here? Okay, there we go. Perfect. That was amazing. I love hearing about that. Every time I see you posting something else on Facebook, I'm like, you are doing so many awesome things. So anyway, it's
Thank
really fun to
you.
hear. So excellent. Our next person up today is going to be Toni with Surfskate Science, and we'll let you take it away, Toni.
Hello, my name is Toni, and just to give you a little background on us, we run Surfskate Science as a family. I went to school for ocean engineering, so I love the engineering science part of everything. My husband used to build skate parks, and we ran a skate park for 15 years together. We have a 21-year-old who's going to school for architecture. And then we have a 23-year-old who is an RBT who works with kids with special needs. And then our 14-year-old that just tags along and helps out with the program. So it's definitely a family-based program. But we teach STEAM through action sports. And I'm just going to show you our video because it says it very well. And let me just go ahead and share my screen here. Hopefully do this right. Okay, here we go.
We've always been passionate about surfing and skateboarding. Several years ago, we started a science class for our son who was homeschooled at the time. Our idea was to take something we loved and to teach science through it. I'm Toni Frallicciardi.
And I am Alleyne Frallicciardi.
And we founded Surfskate Science. Surfskate Science exists to bring science to life through skateboarding and surfing to kids in 3rd through 10th grade. We offer weekly classes to the community for kids to learn about science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Basically, we let the skate parks and the oceans be their lab.
It's all about physics, and that's all applicable to a surfboard.
With the pandemic, there's a lot of new families that are homeschooling. Because of that, we had to figure out how to meet increasing demands for classes. We want to give them a way that it's fun to learn about math, it's fun to learn about science, and get them excited about learning. Every time we meet, we do about 45 minutes of science, and that includes some kind of hands-on lab, and then they go to the skate park and try to apply what they learned. It's a really good way to get them excited about math without really knowing they're doing it.
I was that kid that didn't get math, but when I was passionate about something and I was building this ramp and it had to be perfect, I realized that math is so important.
Our goal is to get kids interested in science and technology. With action sports, there's already a ton of science involved. Skateboarding without physics wouldn't happen.
We don't just go and sit at a desk and do our work. It's like recess and school mixed together at the beach or a skate park, which I really enjoy.
This is our first year homeschooling. It has been quite a journey, and with COVID, it was really important to make sure that she wasn't feeling isolated. This has been a great way to meet new friends and to get outside and to learn.
I mean, this is it. This is what I do. I love it. And when it's passion, it's not work.
And if you're passionate about something, you can do anything. And I think Yuli and I just love skateboarding and surfing. We love the community that it brings together. And we're learning alongside the kids about how to make the program more valuable. The pandemic has forced us to think outside the box, but we are excited for Surfskate Science to keep evolving to meet the needs of the community.
1, 2, 3.
So hopefully that gives you a little idea about our program. So basically that was filmed during the height of the pandemic. So we all had to wear masks for everything, and it was a little different, but we now do kindergarten through 12th grade. And we're really focusing, especially this year, on career exposure and technical career exposure. So we're able to partner with different organizations and companies like CEMEX and even FAU and FIU to just expose the kids to different pathways that involve action sports. So whether that's skate park design and architecture or ocean engineering or marine biology, they get a little exposure to all that.
Awesome. Toni, can you turn your screen off so we can see your beautiful face?
All right. Sorry about that. Is it on? There you go.
Yeah, that looks perfect. Excellent. I love it. So you tell a little bit about the area that you serve and I don't know, any wrap up things you can think of.
Yeah, so we, before COVID, we had a class in West Palm, but right now we have classes in North Broward. So our surf class meets in Deerfield Beach area. We have a skate class that meets right next to Kind Academy in Coral Springs. And we also meet with skate science in Miami-Dade County, right in downtown Miami area.
That's awesome. Does anyone have any questions for Toni while we're at it?
I
Go ahead, Melissa.
do. Would you consider coming back to Palm Beach County? Because we're in Lake Worth and our program, I've heard a ton about you and I'm like, I need you guys to come up here, but I wasn't quite sure what your boundaries were.
Yeah, so we haven't, only because we lost our location. We were meeting at the Surf Museum in Palm Beach and it closed during COVID. So it's always nice to have an indoor location when the weather doesn't cooperate. So so that's the only reason we haven't gone back up there. So we are on the really north end of Broward. We're right at county line of Deerfield and Boca. So we're pretty far north Broward, but it's still, I know it's still a trek for a lot of people.
Where the Lake Worth waterkeeper who I work with, he's pretty close to the guy who runs the surf shop up here. And so I think everything's in storage and they're looking for like a new place to have this surf museum currently. So hopefully soon they'll find a place.
I heard they might move to the old Del Rey schoolhouse. And if that's the case, we're able to meet there again, but hopefully we'll see what happens.
We'll put out our feelers for them. Excellent. Thank you so much, Toni. That was awesome. All right. I think it's your turn now, Caitlyn. Are you ready? All right.
Yeah.
Take it away, Caitlyn.
So I first want to say I've been following both Kind Academy and Surf Skate Science for a while, and I've been loving seeing you guys grow, and it's just been so wonderful. And I have parents ask me all the time, like, oh, well, do you know anything? And I had tons of people in Fort Lauderdale and Miami area ask me, and I send them your way. I hope they make their way to you, Iman. And I've had a few students at Surf Skate Science as well. So it's, I think it's really cool that we're all here together and that I actually get to talk to you in person. So, hi, my name is Caitlyn. I was an educator in public school for 8 years. And I had a difficult time trying to find my place, I guess I could say. I was unhappy for all the reasons that everybody knows, and that's not uncommon. So, overworked, asked to teach uninspiring and unlikable curriculum, to be honest. And of course, emotional and behavioral issues not being, either treated or managed by administration, and supporting teachers who were trying to do that themselves. So I decided to leave, and I found myself in a small micro school in Boca for 1 year. And I realized maybe it's just the school model. Maybe the school model isn't for me. And I looked back at my childhood and thought, you know what, this is exactly it. I'm not the kind of person who enjoys being in a classroom or the traditional kind of classroom. And maybe there's something else out there for me, or a place for me. And as I started thinking about that, I started also finding families who were looking for the same. But back to public school, before I left, I actually started creating and implementing my own curriculum. And I was getting permission from my principals to do so, because I was like, look, I don't like teaching this. The kids don't like learning it. At one point, I had one classroom where I had 6 convicted felons. I'm not going to get them to care about this outdated thing that you're asking me to teach them, right? So let me do things my own way. And they gave me permission. And so I started having a lot of success with, you know, making a curriculum to suit my my students' needs. So after I left the Microschool, I started tutoring and homeschooling for families who wanted to homeschool but weren't exactly sure how to do it themselves. And I started expanding upon the type of curriculum and the methods of teaching that I was doing in public school. So I've been doing that now for 5 years. And so Brain Pals is just me. I'm not a group, it's Brain Pals is me. It's my, you know, my creation. And where I'll get to in a second is I'm trying to build a community. So Brain Pals is kind of like the name of this community that I'm hoping to create. So Brain Pals, I kind of created a how do I put this? It's kind of like a 5-component model. And it includes reading, reasoning, creating, exploring, and playing. And with these 5 things, I find that I can really help a child, and no longer as the instructor and all the information coming from me. I can really help a child to learn a subject very deeply and have a deeper understanding of something, whatever it is that we're looking at. I also take a more holistic approach to education. And for me, that means integrating multiple subjects and teaching them around a theme. So some might call it thematic learning, but in a way it's on a deeper level. You know, we're not just like, oh, reading about ancient Egypt and then making a pyramid. That's not, that's not the kind of thing we're doing. That's, we go beyond a traditional thematic learning system. And so there's a few ways that families can work with me. One is a brain bundle, which is, and Iman, I saw you were kind of doing this, especially during the pandemic. And I was like, yes, it's out there. Other people get it. So what I do is I create bundles of materials for families to use at home and guide them in implementing those with their child. So those are brain bundles. I also have concierge services where I can, you know, check in throughout the year. If a parent needs planning help, they need, you know, scheduling help, whatever the family needs at the time. I'm also starting to work with homeschooling pods, which is really great, helping them with curriculum and implementing curriculum. And then the last thing is my Patreon community. I'm trying to create a community that will learn thematically together. So every month we're on the same theme and we can all go to different excursions and experiences and talk about what we're learning together and create a community of support around that. So that's that's my spiel. I'm getting the yellow. Any questions?
You're awesome. Thank you, Caitlin. We're trying this out tonight because it's our first time to try and just stay on time. And anyway, you guys are funny. All right, great job, Caitlin. Does anyone have any questions for Caitlin?
I do. Caitlin, I'm sorry. Where did you say you were located or where you're doing this from?
So I'm located in the West Palm Beach and kind of Palm Beach County area. However, really everything I do can be accessible to parents everywhere.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Caitlin. I think this would be a really great segue into talking about non-traditional curriculum. That way we can get all of you are experts kind of at the non-traditional way of doing things. I know, because I've been seeing your posts for all kinds of things. Thanks for joining us, Eric. So anyway, what our very first question, we'll just see whoever wants to do it, but like maybe 1 to 2 minutes. It's just kind of a short answer. That way we can hear from more of you. But the first question is, how do you accomplish the school part? You know, it's really easy to think, hey, public school, you just go, of course they're getting the school part done. But when it's non-traditional education, sometimes that's kind of the unknown part. I'm going to let you go first, Toni, just because it's skateboarding and surfing. How do you do the school part? Let's hear it.
So every semester we have a focus, whether it's engineering or physics or environmental science. So basically I do work off what a high school curriculum would be for that subject, and then water it down according to age. So we're making sure we're touching every subject in physics or every subject in environmental science. And so we plan those out into our 14 weeks of classes and break it down. And then we work on doing a hands-on lab, because I really feel like kids need to taste it, see it, smell it, and just feel what they're learning. So we try to do something hands-on where they can actually put what they're learning into action. And then they go out and surf or skate. And especially with physics, we're really able to incorporate that with the surfing part or with the skating part. If we're doing architecture, they have projects that they're working on. So every time it's something different. This past semester we did engineering, and then we're going back to physics this coming semester. So
That's amazing. So you're not just winging it out there. I know it looks so easy. Just go outside and play all day. No, you've got Excel spreadsheets and plans and things all laid out. So that's fun to hear. Thank you. Does anyone else want to share about how you do the school part?
It's funny that you asked that question, because my kid is getting to 11, and I'm elementary, so going into middle is I'm having other people kind of lead the middle school stuff. But as Caitlyn was starting to talk about like how she takes things that they're like they don't care about some of this stuff anymore. So I would honestly love to hear from Caitlyn and anyone else on how do you not necessarily make them care. A big part of what I've always done with my learners is let's just get through it really quickly. Like, we can cover the content very quickly. They still get it, they understand it, and they move on. And I know I was really good at doing that even growing up myself, where I got the information, I could regurgitate it and get an A, and I was fine. I want them to kind of care about what they're learning. Is there any way that you actually can kind of involve with them actually caring about what they're learning, especially the school boring stuff? I'm sorry, it is not fun. Like,
it looks like she did a really good volleyball pass to you, Caitlyn.
Yes. Like, I was going to ask you that. Once you said like you made like convicted felons and my kids, but you know, like
your kids are convicted felons.
They're not. And hopefully it stays that way. But no, the reality is, it's like, why do I have to do this, Mom? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, getting a 17-year-old who knows they're going to be out of school in 8 months to really engage and care is not the easiest thing. But so just for also reference, I've taught everything from 2nd through 12th grade, whether it was in the classroom or tutoring or homeschooling. So I kind of have a very wide or large spectrum here. So there's kind of two parts to this question. Number one is how to get them to care. And number two would be like, well, how do you get the academics in there if it's something that is not the most exciting, right? So the thing about doing a thematic unit is you can hide the stuff that they think is boring inside this unit, kind of like what you do, Toni, right? You're hiding the mathematics. They don't know, they might see it, but they're not really thinking about it because they're like, oh, well, I just need to figure out this so I can do that, right? So if we are, let's say, learning about Florida history and we're studying the time period when Disney moved in, we can start talking about roller coasters and getting into the mathematics and physics of roller coasters, right? So there are ways to get that information in there without them really catching on, right? Like, let's design a roller coaster. Why not, right? And then the other part is, you know, understanding that not everyone is at the same place. Not everyone has the same background knowledge. So by, you know, creating a curriculum designed for a specific child, or a specific family, it really gives you the potential to give them specifically what they need.
Excellent. That was great. I know Melissa has tons of great ideas in here too. So if you ever want to jump in, Melissa, feel free.
Yeah, I mean that the biggest question is how do you get people to care more? And I ponder that question on a daily basis, honestly. And everything that we do for Lake Worth Waterkeeper and the education program is built around that question. I mean, we're heavy into the history and science, but all of our, school stuff is embedded into what it is we're doing. But ultimately, the answer to that is to make it personal. Anything and everything that you're teaching, you can make it personal. And everything, if you have the mindset of like systems, everything's interconnected and codependent on everything else. So if you can, make it personal to them and figure out how things connect together, it'll be so much easier if they can do hands-on experiential work that's personal to them. So if you're always bringing back to like why is it important to me? Why should I know this? It's a great question. I remember before doing all this stuff, I worked at a treatment facility and I did all of their outdoor fun stuff. And they're like, what does this have anything to do with my recovery? I was like, that's a great question. Let's talk about it. So I always welcomed like that bigger question, like, why do I need to do this? I'm like, well, let's think about this. Let's work that out and always make it personal to come back to them, because that's how we can get them to care more about what they're doing.
I love that. I love that we kind of rotated the question about school into why should I care about learning this? I think that's the big thing. I think I heard something recently that said the parents, they spend, 90% of their time worrying about the education of their kids. Like, how are they getting that done? So if you can figure out, like Iman, you've got a kid that's entering that next level. I still remember, so I have 6 kids too. I've got a big family. When my oldest, she's now 21, entered the middle school phase, I was having this major, I don't know how to do this level. I was an expert at elementary and now I got to do middle. I don't know how to do that. Let's just pull out now. Let's pull the plug because I don't know how to do this. But luckily for me, the way just kept being lit, 1 foot ahead of me, 1 foot ahead of me. And pretty soon I was plowing through and making that next step. So I think it's the same with anyone. We all need connections with each other. And then as we reach out, we can get help when it gets tricky or find the why when somebody's not really igniting from what we're talking about. So let's go on to our next type of question. It says, what do you base your curriculum on? So there's a million of them out there. There's Waldorf, Montessori, one-room schoolhouse, project-based, Charlotte Mason, experiential, the list goes on and on. When you're familiar with education, all of that is just like, oh yeah, you're talking shop. I got it. I know what all those things are. Oh, I haven't heard that one. I better go Google it and figure it out what it is. For somebody who's brand new and has never, ever heard of this style of learning, what would you say? Like, maybe even if it's not about your business, but how would you go about learning about these different styles of curriculum? Who wants to take that one?
I'll jump in. Oh man, if there's one thing I know, it's curriculum. I think the big thing for us, we're a secular family. So once we started homeschooling, a big part was we wanted a secular curriculum. And that was harder to find than not. We joined a lot of groups. We asked a lot of people a lot of questions. And then I really started learning about what my kid was interested in. And I would just ask him every year, what do you like? And what do you do? What are you interested in right now? And his big thing was, I want to blow stuff up. So we started creating curriculum around blowing stuff up. And we did chemistry when he was 6. And he got all the concepts. And I was like, okay, this is perfect. But when you really are looking for, I think asking, joining the groups, joining the communities, South Florida homeschool community is here. Parents are ready to talk about the curriculums that we love. I think that we're very Montessori, not just with the wooden stuff, but we're very child-centered and child-led. My kid right now is kind of I don't really want to do that, Mom. And I'm kind of you know what? we can find a way to do it in a way that is a little bit more accessible for you. You know what I mean? That's a big part of the way that we do things. And I think Montessori is very similar to that mindset of doing it at the child's pace, following their lead, things like that. So ask a lot of questions, join the homeschool groups and ask questions.
Excellent. Thank you. Does anyone else want to join in? Or I know there's so many out there.
Yeah, I think for us, we just do a mix of a lot of different things. So, Waldorf is really about, the hands, heart, and head, thinking, feeling, and doing things. And then Montessori, we do variety of ages working together. And then the project led, we definitely do a lot of project-based curriculum. And then I really think experiential is really important. So we do a lot of that. I know I have a 23-year-old in school for child psychology and a 21-year-old in school for architecture. And I'd say my 21-year-old, because he's a boy, struggled a lot in middle school and beginning of high school, but he loved architecture. And he had a hard time with math, but as soon as we put him in the tech school for a few hours a week, he got math. And the essays that I was fighting with him about writing, he wrote for his architecture class. And him being nervous about speaking in front of people totally went away. And so he excels in architecture because he loves it and he's passionate about it. I didn't have to worry anymore about math or writing because it was something he loved. And the same with our daughter. And then our now 14-year-old, who we fight about doing math, he's still doing his schoolwork, and it should be summer and we're trying to plow through it. But he loves welding. So I put him in some welding classes and he said, I hate math. What does math have to do with welding? And it was great to hear from the welding teacher that math is very important for welding. So those kind of things are a big help. And then also, being able to ask other people, what do you do for curriculum? What works for your child? And having that community is a good thing.
Excellent. I also just want to add, it's okay to change. I've been homeschooling for over 15 years. And for the longest time, I always identified myself as, I do classical education. That is who I am. I'm the classical education person. And then one day I woke up and I'm like, I'm so sick of doing classical education. I just don't want to do that anymore. So it's okay to change. It's okay to change. And there's tons of books out there, podcasts, all kinds of things. And if you just keep listening, learning, researching, studying, growing, you morph and mix and blend things that work out for you. And it's okay to change. It's okay to even stop and change direction 100% because it's okay. That's kind of
Can
what
I jump
makes
in
it
and also
non-traditional.
say
Go ahead.
too, to add to that really quickly? Not only is it okay to change, but it's okay to do something different than what everyone else around you is doing. I really wanted to be like a reading, like literature study person with my kids, and they were not sitting still for hour-long reading sessions. And I was like, forget this. Like, we're gonna do some hands-on stuff, and it just changed their whole, mindset. So don't feel bad if you're not doing what everybody else is doing. Like, follow your kids and your path too.
So true.
I'm sorry, can I just say how refreshing it is to hear this? Because like I said, I'm so new to all of this. My daughter is 4 years old. And I feel like my biggest hang up is like, are we going to get this right? Like, what is this? Because I know we want to do something different. And yeah, I hear Montessori, I hear Waldorf, and I'm just like, okay, we got to choose the right thing and we got to stick with it all the way through. And we got, and just hearing you guys say that it changes and it's whatever works for your child. I feel like something just lifted off my shoulder, honestly, super, super.
Yeah.
It's a huge relief.
When I very first started homeschooling, there's this book that I called like the homeschool Bible. It was this book called The Well-Trained Child by Susan Wise Bauer. So it's this massively thick book about everything your kid should do in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. So I had that book and I had it marked and, I'm like all about organizing and doing stuff. But to tell you the truth, I didn't do even 10% of what she said I needed to be doing. It took me 3 or 4 years of me doing homeschooling consistently every single day to be able to fit in all those crazy things she was talking about. And so sometimes I would look back and I go, I'm such a failure because I'm not doing all those things. But if you think about it, she'd been homeschooled her entire life. And now she was teaching other people how to homeschool. So of course she was going to go from her decades of experience to say, this is how you're supposed to do it. But on years 1 and 2, no, it doesn't work like that. And did my kids lose out? No, they didn't. They still had really great experiences. They learned a ton and they didn't skip any beats whatsoever. They just kept learning. So don't give up. You'll be fine.
And if I could piggyback off of that, it's that at the end of the day, if you have a solid connection with your child, if you are paying attention to their needs and trying to understand what they need and how to fulfill that, you are doing the best that you can by them, right? No, particular type of educational experience is going to be, the magical one, right? It's all about, and I would say, Candy, from day one, you were the expert. You just didn't know it. I think that as a parent,
I'll play it at night when I'm feeling bad.
I know, right? Somebody remind me that too. I have a toddler. So, but you at the end of the day are the expert, and just focusing on that connection and focusing on their individual needs and really listening to them. I think that that's really all you need to make, a decision that's going to benefit your child.
Excellent. I was even going to say, just even about a business. So we've got a bunch of business owners in here that were sculpting out these non-traditional paths. There really is no user manual on how to do it. Every day you're kind of being thoughtful, mindful, thinking, is this working? Is this not working? And to tell you the truth, there is no one right way to do it. So, just moving forward and keep listening and keep trying. I feel like the more we connect with each other, the better we are. So that's kind of why we are doing what we're doing here. So here's a question that I just love asking in this. We asked this last week and I really enjoyed hearing it. So how did you get started on your journey? Who wants to? I know Caitlyn shared a little bit about hers, but Toni, why don't you tell us a little bit? How did you get started on your journey?
Okay, so my kids all went to a great private school. We worked there, and we enjoyed it. They were doing great, but we travel a lot. We build skate parks around the world for different projects, and everybody there kept telling us we should homeschool. And I kept thinking, I'm never going to homeschool. I can't do this. There's no way. And so we ended up moving to West Texas in the middle of an oil boom, and the schools were terrible. And so we decided to start FLVS. My kids hated it. And so we just we got involved with a homeschool community that was there. And I just started learning a little bit about it. I still felt like, am I going to be good enough for my kids? Am I going to be giving them what they need? I had one going into high school, one going into middle school, and one early elementary. And I remember thinking, oh, my kids, I'm not gonna do well with this. They're not gonna learn anything. And today we have, 2 in college. Both of them got full scholarships to college. They're both A students and doing well. But I think it was really because we let them focus on their passions, and they got to find that early on. And they learned how to work independently because I worked from home while they did school. And it was probably the best decision I've ever made. We've been able to travel, and they've been able to learn a lot on our travels, and they have great deep friendships, and our relationships at home are wonderful. My kids are best friends, which is awesome. So I think it was probably our best journey. But how we started our program was we came back here in 2017 because my dad had brain cancer, and I decided to continue homeschooling just so we could spend time with him. And a few months after we were here in February, everything happened at Stoneman Douglas. And a lot of the kids we worked with at the skate park here in Fort Lauderdale went to school there. We were actually there that day that all that happened. And we just saw such a need for community. And so I had one young one, he was around 5th grade at the time. And we decided, hey, what if we got our kids together at a skate park or at the beach just so they could have friends and get outside and heal from all this, and just did science class at the beach or did science class at the skate park. And it was just probably 6 of us, and it just kept growing. So that's pretty much how we started our program. And it's pretty much the model that we've gone with since then, because I think community is so important. It's important for us as homeschoolers to have somebody to ask questions to. So our program is a program where the parents usually stay. And while we're surfing, the parents are talking and they're building friendships. And then afterwards, we kind of wrap it around lunchtime. So parents can actually hang out and with the kids and have lunch together or do things after class. So that's pretty much how we got started.
I love it. Thank you. What about you, Iman? How did you get started?
Man, I love that story, Toni. Like I'm almost like tearing up because like I would say we started off like as a nature school. I remember we really started like as a positive parenting group. Like my first child, it was just like it was very different. Like I didn't want to raise him in the same way that I had grown up. I wanted to be a very different parent, and everyone else around me who were having kids, they were raising them the traditional way. Like a lot of the threatening, a lot of the just, things that I just wanted something different. And I didn't really find a community of people like that. And then I found a community, but they were in Boca, and I just started something that was closer to home. And then more and more people came and joined our positive parenting community, and we grew. And then I started teaching, and I decided to start teaching at parks because it was like, this is free. And, you guys can just come out. We can kind of get co-op together, do parties, we do birthday parties. And then we started taking our curriculum outside. And in 2016, we celebrated Earth Day at one of our sensory nature art and play activities. And it was just, ever since then, we just continued growing and growing. Grew into a microschool where kids would get dropped off and come to our program. It just kept developing curriculum. Same thing, like all nature-based. Parents would stay. We would have snack time together. We would do nature walks together. And the families just ended up kind of becoming best friends. And like they still are kind of hanging out with those people. And that was a really cool part of what we did. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. So maybe we'll just throw out our last question here a little bit about why is it important to you? Why is non-traditional education important to you? Caitlyn, do you want to talk about that one?
Actually, can I pull up a quote real quick and pass to somebody else? I do
sure.
have something I want to read, but let me find it.
Okay. Melissa, do you want to share a little bit? Why is non-traditional education important to you?
Why is it important to me? I think it's important in general to the direction we as a society are going. I think the way our education is going in America specifically is for a different time and age. Like it's outdated, it's not working anymore, it's not working for the teachers, it's not working for the students. And I just think it's so ingrained into how we do things that it's not going to change unless a larger group of people are looking for alternative education. So I think the idea of education that actually is more sustainable, that kind of rolls into and goes beyond traditional goals of education. Like right now, usually the only goal of education, public education, is for the economy. It's like we're building little creatures to contribute to the expansion of our great nation. So to expand what those goals are, I think that is a byproduct of what is more important, and that's community. And we're all connected now on a very global level. It's understanding how those connections are happening beyond what we are in the US. So I think it's really important. I think education is going to change on the ground level through people like us who are doing alternative education. And I think it's going to get more and more popular. And as people are seeking more options for their children. So that's why I think it's important. And I think what everyone here is doing is really important. And I think it's important for families and parents like you, Daniela, who are new to this whole thing and trying to make it work for your family, because we believe in it and we want you to come join us in this alternative education sort of situation, to kind of move forward as a whole within the United States and past that, because that's where we need to go.
That's amazing. Caitlyn, do you have your quote ready?
Well, I mean, like, who can follow up that? That was perfect. However, so it's funny, I'm reading this book called How to Raise a Wild Child. The art and
that one. I was
Yeah.
Who is that by? Is that?
Give me a second. I will figure it out.
Oh, no worries. It's okay.
Scott something. I can send it to you.
Okay. No.
later.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. Okay, thank you.
But it's basically about learning how to connect with nature and instilling this connection to children. And he writes about Horace Mann, who some people consider the father of modern day, American education. And we can thank this whole system that we're currently in thanks to him. And the quote that he said, "Those whose minds and hearts have been trained and disciplined by education have control over their passions." And I highlighted this as I read it because I was like, wow, what the complete opposite what probably everybody here is feeling right now, which is training, disciplining, and controlling our children is not
so true.
It's not my goal. I can only speak for myself, but it's not my goal. Now, having control over their passions, I would say, is also, the exact opposite. We need to explore passion. We need to understand passion. We need to engage with it, right? So basically, the exact opposite of everything that the father of American education said. So that's
hilarious.
That's my contribution.
And the takeaway tonight is what you can quote Caitlyn is saying. I'm just teasing. That's amazing. Oh, does anyone have any last questions before we wrap up a little bit? So Melissa, did you have something to say? No.
Oh, were you going to talk about the expo?
Yes,
okay.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everyone. So we have a Microschool showcase and curriculum expo coming up in 11 days. So it's on June 11th, 10 days. And it's in Boca Raton, and we would love for you to get the word out. I would love as many people to come as possible. So anyway, it's on our website, www.microschoolflorida.com. We've had tons of people every day, not tons. Okay, so it's a trickling of people coming in, joining. So it's really fun to just see people excited, asking questions. I've had people emailing me as well, questions about how do you start a microschool, or, give me some tips here and there. Not that I'm an expert, but I'm happy to share what I know, just because I know when I started mine, I was a million questions. I could not turn off my brain. It was like a faucet that just kept going, more. So I know how it felt. And I was so thankful for everybody who answered my questions, responded to emails, because that's truly how I was able to begin. And anyway, so that's June 11th. Next week, we're going to have on Wednesday another info session. I know, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I think we have Be Ready Academy with Brittany, and I think it's Open Tent Academy, if I'm not mistaken. And I have one more person I was going to have join too. I need to return that phone call. So if you want to, if you know somebody who'd think be great for this, let me know. I'm also thinking of doing it. So we're doing 4 weeks in a row. And then after that, we'll do it once a month, just to kind of keep more people talking about alternative education or non-traditional, or just making it so parents don't feel so scared to step into the unknown. It's really not scary once you're out there. It's kind of like, just take that step and you'll find out, oh, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. So anyway, that's what's going on.
And just to add on to the curriculum expo and showcase, it's just the point of it was community wise. We just kind of wanted to share what each other has to offer and what kind of curriculum is out there, especially for people like you, Danielle, just starting out. And also we'll have a panel during that expo to talk more about alternative education and ask more questions and have more conversations around that. And also I'll be doing a workshop about the concept of teacher versus facilitator and trying to help people develop more facilitator approach to education over teacher, which has become a very lecture-y, one-way communication type word. So just talking more about being a facilitator and what that means exactly and how you can do that for your children or for your schools or what have you. So we're really excited about the expo and showcase and hope that everybody comes and tells other people, and it could be a fun event that maybe we'll do annually, right, Candy?
I actually think that would be a really great idea. It's not just a one person thing. I keep thinking as I think about this whole project, we need to save the world. Let's tell more people that you don't have to be stuck doing what everyone tells you have to do. You can step outside of the box. It's okay. There's lots of us out there and we are happy to help. So anyway, thank you everybody for coming. So grateful for you giving your time. And anyway, look forward to seeing you all online and at the expo. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Candy. Thank you, everyone. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Very
Thank you.
informative. Thank